All right, welcome to SoCal Sports Reports weekly podcast. I am John Stellman, along with Vince Morales, John Adams. And as we do every week, we'll give you a quick rundown of today's lineup, give you an idea what we're going to be talking about. Also, before we do that, I would suggest that you be a part of the show. Click on the icon at the right-hand side of any page, and you can send us a voicemail with your opinions, comments, criticism. Now, we just posted a great article by Vince Morales on Sam Darnold's decision to go to the NFL as opposed to coming back for 2 more years at USC. And Vince made a very good argument, giving it 4 solid points on why Darnold should not be going to the NFL. Maybe some of you might disagree. You might think it's a good idea, a bad idea. So be on the show and give us a call and comment on what Vince had to say. As far as today's program, we're going to start out with the NFL playoffs. The Belichick blowout and 3 other pretty good games. John nailed it pretty much on the New Orleans game, but I tell you what, they did everything in that game but win it. So we'll discuss that. The Lakers had their 4-game win streak snapped in Memphis tonight. They're at OKC. We'll talk a little bit about them. We really want to get into the Clippers, though. That was the big story. Chris Paul and leading the charge into the Clipper locker room after their game on Monday night. And players, I guess, a few of his Rocket teammates were with him, and there were some harsh words, and it was not a friendly game. And we'll talk about that. That should be fun. DeAnthony's out for the year for the Trojans. Finally got that word. Where does that leave USC? Does he stick around? Does he come back next year? Is he going to transfer? That's a big piece of their team, and he's going to be missed down the stretch, and he would be missed next year as well. UCLA falls to Colorado after USC beat them. They're 4-2 now, half game behind. Arizona and Stanford, who are 4-1 in the Pac-12. Ducks, I'll tell you that Ducks and this thing is really getting to be a tight race. The Vegas is 7 points ahead of, would you believe, the Sharks, Calgary, and San Jose, who are now 1 point ahead of the Ducks. 1 point ahead of the Kings, and the Ducks are 4 points back of there. So there's not much separating those teams, but the Vegas has opened up a little bit of a lead. Now, I don't think they've gone through the stretch that the Kings have gone through and the Ducks have gone through. There's ups and downs, and maybe they'll have their problems here in the future. Speaking of the Kings, we'll talk about legendary Bob Miller, who very deservedly had a statue unveiled to him outside Staples Center, had his banner raised inside, and just a couple of days later, the great one, Keith Nelly, left us following Dick Enberg. So that was kind of a sad ending to that story. If we have time, Paul Newberry, the AP, listed the 5 worst sports cities in the country based on athletic results. We got some other things we might want to get to before that. I know got a golf tournament out in the desert, the former Bob Hope Desert Classic coming up. I'm sure John will have some thoughts on that. And Elgin Baylor is going to get his statue.
Good.
April the 6th outside of Staples. And boy, I'll tell you what, that is long overdue. He was an icon in his age, playing at 6'5", and he still has the Laker record for career rebounds, but of course he played 11 seasons, but he was just a great player. So let's get started with the NFL playoffs, see what Vince has to say about the 3 pretty good games. Boy, I'll tell you what, we are no experts. I guess Philadelphia doesn't like being the underdog when they're the number 1 seed. But there were some good games, and that Minnesota game, the finish on that, I mean, is that another what was that? That was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Oakland Raiders, the big game.
The reception.
Yeah, immaculate reception, exactly. And Pittsburgh, It's going to be another walkover for Belichick. When they get to Tennessee and now they get Jacksonville.
I don't know if it's going to be that much of a walkover.
Well, I hope not. All right, Vinny. Let's start off with you. I know you've got some thoughts and on these games.
My thought is that I fool me once, right? I don't think Jacksonville has it. I know you like their defense. They gave up 42 points. That's not going to work against the Patriots. The only thing that they can hope for is that the Tom Brady injury in practice today to his hand is more significant than they're letting on, but I doubt it. You can say all you want about Jacksonville's defense, and it's still Blake Bortles.
Oh, no doubt about it.
It's still Blake Bortles.
Right.
And they gave him 42 points. Again, a lot of that was in a hurry up and when they were already ahead, and they looked really good. But, 42 points is 42 points.
A lot of points.
Especially when you're priding yourself on defense, and that's the way you think you're going to stop, the defending champs. So that's how I'm not sold on the 10-6 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, I'm not either, right? It's a week to week situation with them, right? But when you've seen Tom Brady struggle, right, is when he gets knocked down a lot. He's having trouble finding his guys. He's having to really force passes. They don't have this sensational running game, they don't have a pounder that's going to go drive, through and beat up the line a little bit.
Right.
And they have we just found out today that, Campbell, the defensive end from Jacksonville, just by from the Football Writers of America, just gave him the Defensive Player of the Year, right? So, and that Brady was your MVP and Gurley was your Offensive Player of the Year. But if you can distract him and bump him and knock him down and keep knocking him down and get him frustrated, that's when I think you have a chance. That being said, Bortles has to play like he did this last week, right? So a lot of it, like you said, Vince, it's all based on what Bortles is going to do. If he's horrendous, you're going to get killed, right? But if he's effective and you can run the ball with Fournette, I think they can keep it close, and you never know. I mean, they just went into Pittsburgh, and it was 21-7 that fast. Exactly. So, I don't know. And again, Belichick, you got to give it to the New England Patriots, where they've been in the last 8-10 years, when it comes to, always being in position to win a championship. I mean, he finds ways to and strategically break down defenses and offenses to be able to win ball games. And I look at they have Gronkowski and they have a guy named Tom Brady.
Right.
But other than that, there's no wow. They just have these scrappy kind of guys that make things happen, right? And that defense is, as the weeks have gone on, the defense has gotten better and better. Mm-hmm. So, you got to give it to Belichick and how he has his guys ready in all aspects, from special teams to defense to offense. His guys are prepared and he's ready to go, and that's why he's losing his coordinators.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, I don't know. It's just I'll go out on there. I want Jacksonville to win. I'm done. The Patriots are there every year. I'm ready for something new. I would love to see a Minnesota Jacksonville, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you this much.
I think you're the only one.
Yeah, Fox isn't going to want that, but
that's for sure.
But I don't know. I'd love to see something like that. I'm rooting for Minnesota and Jacksonville this week.
What about while we got John with us, what about your New Orleans, Minnesota? That was a tremendous game.
It's funny because I was talking to a couple guys when this was all going on, and I said, well, I think, Minnesota comes down and kicks a 55-yard field goal or something like that, and then I said, wow, I don't know. And the guy says, you're going to say wow on giving Breeze a minute and 53 seconds or something like that, or a minute and 43. He goes, that's plenty of time to get to a 40-yard line, right? Yeah. The way because what happened in the second half, they started moving the football and finding open gaps and stuff like that. So I'm like, you're probably right. And then all of a sudden, blink of an eye, he's still got 20 seconds or whatever, and he's sitting on the 40-something yard line. That guy kicked a 50-yarder or 45-yarder like it was a tap-in birdie, just straight down the middle. And I'm going, wow, it's over with. I mean, I don't think, now you're asking, Case to come do his job. And I don't know. I thought he was going to go out of bounds, and he didn't. He just saw an open lane and went, and the guy got there too early for the tackle. And so
he whiffed. He missed him by a yard.
No, but he had to because he was going to hit him way ahead. Because if you notice when he dives underneath that guy's feet or goes around him, the ball's not even to his hands. So he got there way ahead of time and was in position to hit. And I think he avoided him because he was going to get nailed for pass interference. So, which now he wishes he would have hit him, and exactly. But crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, and that's why there's everybody watching these football games. It's just it was an exciting back and forth football. I mean, it was kind of dominating in the first half with Minnesota, but it was a great football game. I thought the Atlanta Philly game was a good football game. In the second half.
Yeah.
That's what what's funny is I really don't pay attention too much in the first half. It's the second half is when all this stuff gets fun.
Yeah.
So and then New England, you knew that was going to happen. So it was just,
the Vikings looked dominant in the first half. It didn't look like they were putting pressure on Breeze. He wasn't comfortable, but Breeze is the consummate professional, and he led him back. Whether that guy Williams was early or whether he was trying to avoid a penalty, he knew he had no help over the top. They were playing a coverage where everything was out of the middle. They were a sideline because
they wanted to run out of clock.
They knew that's where it was going to go.
Exactly.
They figured they could catch up to anything over the middle, and that's why they were playing that. You've got to know. You've got to be smarter than that. Yeah. I mean, don't leave your feet.
Right.
Don't slam on the brakes. Yeah. Don't leave your feet.
Keep him in bounds. Just tackle him this way.
But what a great effort to not only catch the ball, but to keep his balance and stay in bounds. Diggs was, putting his hand down it looked like he was close to the sideline, and then just the most remarkable finish I've seen in just forever. I mean, my goodness. Absolutely terrific. You need to get that, John?
Nope, sorry.
Okay. But, but the Vikings, Eagles, I think it's going to be a really good game. Eagles at home.
Yeah. And an underdog again.
For the third straight week.
Yeah.
I think that's just going to be a defensive battle again.
Yeah. Both the Eagles and Jacksonville need to confound expectations in order to make it to the Super Bowl. So, I don't think the Vikings-Eagles game, I think, is going to be a closer game. I think it's going to be a terrific game. Mm-hmm. I have absolutely no confidence that the Pats and Jaguars is going to be.
No, I don't. I can't see that really being too competitive.
Of course, that's what everybody says. But you probably said that it wasn't going to be that competitive against Pittsburgh too. Pittsburgh at home and with all their weapons, and again they punched them in the mouth right out of the get go.
What were they, like a two touchdown favorite, 13-point favorite, something like that?
Something like that.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah. No, I think that was Tennessee. They were 7.5.
Yeah. 7.5. Yeah.
Which. Not insignificant, but
well, it was on the lower side due to the fact that he picked him off 5 times. They had slugged him in the mouth last time, and they were thinking and everybody's not giving him the time of day. So it was actually that's why that spread I thought was a little bit lower than I thought. I had it more. I thought it was going to be more at 9, something like that, 9 to 10.
Yeah, there's that gambler in me that says Jacksonville bounces. Bortles can't recreate that, but there's also that sportsman in me that thinks, Bortles got some confidence now, and now everybody is like me saying Bortles can't do it, and now you have exactly prove the naysayers wrong, the haters.
Yeah.
So if there's anything at all to the Brady injury, at all, in cold weather, gripping that ball. Is it his throwing hand or his left hand?
I'm sorry, I just heard about it. I didn't.
So if it's his throwing hand, that could be an issue. But hopefully for the Jaguars, that's probably the one advantage they get. What's the spread there? Do we know?
9.
Yeah, 9.
9 and 3. Minnesota's -3.
I just think. This thing's. I just think it's destiny's in Minnesota's favor. I mean, they're hosting the Super Bowl. I mean, what sweeter
But is it
but
is it to me, and Vince and I have talked about this numerous times, but I'm watching this game, right? And he's got I don't know, 20 something seconds to go down and try to get a field goal kicked. And you're sitting there telling yourself going, he's gone. He's not going to play there next year. He's not going to get that job. They got Teddy Bridgewater. They have Sam Bradford, and now they got 3 number 1 quarterbacks. Right? Yeah. And you're sitting there going, this guy could take them all the way to the Super Bowl, win, and still not have a job next year.
Exactly right.
And they're saying now what's the offensive coordinator is going to possibly take the Giants job, and they said he's going to go right there. Well, you got Eli Manning over there. I mean, is he going to follow that? And so it's really it could be really sad that this guy takes him from nothing to win the Super Bowl, and he doesn't have a job next year. That seriously could happen.
It could. Yeah.
And the thing that I wanted to interject was that although Jeff Fisher will spin this the other way, the fact that Case Keenum and Jared Goff had breakout seasons the minute he left it should not be lost on anybody, particularly those in the front office that need to hire a coach. Jeff Fisher will spin it like, look, I set them up to succeed. That wasn't all my fault.
Yeah. That's right.
But I think you just look at that and just go, oh my God, what were the Rams doing with Jeff Fisher for so long? Yeah. It's a totally different culture now.
Oh, big time.
Totally different culture.
Yeah, he'll probably say, well, now, Case wouldn't have been this good if I'd benched him last year in favor of Goff.
Yeah,
all that extra experience he got is what made him this
He
year.
learned a lot in the classroom.
That's right. The reason we let him go was because we wanted him to succeed somewhere else, to spread his wings and fly.
Yeah, we don't want him to be good here. Yeah. What happened to Pittsburgh? What happened to the Steelers?
Well, I didn't get to watch the game, so I had to watch it kind of, broken up. But I heard, what I did see is that, Tomlin made a bad decision with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left to kick an onside kick. But again,
the 4th and 1 call was dreadful too.
Yeah, and he made some bad decisions down the stretch. But again, if you're going to be able to run the ball, and Fournette was able to run the ball, that's going to make Bortles' job a little bit easier, right? And that's what I'm wondering, if they're going to try to stop that run, if New England's going to come up and just stop it and say, okay, Bortles, beat me with these receivers. I'm wondering if that's how New England's going to take it. But they flustered Roethlisberger early. He caused a fumble that was a 50-yard touchdown. They were sacking him. They were making him make bad decisions, and that's the only way that you're going to get to Brady. And a guy like Brady, you're going to have to be up 2 or 3 touchdowns because he's going to come back. He'll find a way
to make Atlanta.
It right. Exactly. Right. So, but what's interesting is exactly what happened. They were up 21-7, and then I think they might have been up 28-7. And then I think Pittsburgh scored late in the first half, and then all of a sudden, boom, it started getting a tennis match back and forth. So they're talking about drama. I don't know. It just it's younger kids and better players.
I don't know the answer to this, but I say this rhetorically, but has a home favorite in an NFL semifinal game given up that many points at home?
Yeah.
45 points at home?
Yeah.
That's just
And it's usually a really tough place to play, and it sure wasn't tough the other day.
It should have been.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking forward to Pittsburgh and New England.
Absolutely.
See, everybody's wanting that, right? Everybody's wanting that. And
then you would have had 2 great games. You have Philly, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh.
Well, the way Pittsburgh played, you had a good game. The way it looks, New England probably would have killed them. The way that they played against Jacksonville.
Well, yeah. That's
so.
All right. Well, we got some.
But it's the playoffs. Anything can happen.
That's
you
right.
Never know.
Exactly. I'm going to skip the Lakers here for a second. Let's get to the Clippers. They finally made some headlines here, and we haven't talked about them with a great amount of time. Rather chippy.
Yeah.
Rather chippy, to say the least.
Well, anytime the Clippers play, it's chippy. They're aggressive. They can be a little cheap. Blake Griffin likes to put his hands on guys' heads when he's going for dunks. He's a punk. So that's how the Clippers play.
Yep.
They get in your face. They play aggressive D. They block a lot of shots. So every game they play is potentially chippy.
Chippy, yeah.
And it was going. I figured it was going to. You were going to see the true relationship that was going on between Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. It was going to play out in this game. I mean, if they were buddies and everything was cool, I don't think it would have been this chippy. And then Austin Rivers, yapping, essentially saying, "I'm the starter here now, man," and screw you, pretty much from sitting on the bench with an injury, running his mouth. I thought it was interesting. It proved to me that once things settle down, things get back and everybody gets healthy for the Clippers. Obviously, they're not going to get everybody healthy. Beverly gone, but as soon as they get healthy, 21 and 22 could easily become, a very good year for them.
It's just Vince, when we were young watching the Lakers, the great Lakers and stuff. The NBA is different now. I mean, that would have turned into a full-out brawl, punching guys and going nuts back in the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now it's just yap, and,
tweet,
and push. And I'm not saying I want to see a fight, but I'm just saying it's a little immature now, the way that these guys, and maybe it's because the guys are so young now getting in the NBA, but... like a perfect example, like Austin Rivers getting chippy like that on the bench, and he's not even dressed. Guys would have came up right to them in the past and just tell them to shut up and start something. I mean, that's the past, right? But
I feel like the Rockets felt like they had to defend D'Antoni because of what was going on. Griffin and D'Antoni were going at it, but Chris Paul is the NBA player rep, union rep.
Union rep,
He should be a smart, mature guy, and one of the great tweets I read was, for the very first time ever, Chris Paul has led a team anywhere, and that was from one locker room to the other, for a fight. So it was just a great tweet, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand why they're doing that, and why Harden and Ariza and Gerald Green are involved in that. Paul's got to be a better, smarter, level-headed leader than that.
Who takes four guys to a fight when there's 12 guys behind a door? I mean, that's not smart either. Yeah.
Well, who calls the cops when there's only 4 guys at your door, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That was funny. Did you see the Shaq and Barkley laughing about that?
They couldn't even talk. They were laughing so hard.
So, DeAndre Jordan would have tipped the balance of that fight anyway. I mean, you get Chris Paul, who's 6 foot, 170, whatever the hell he is, and Trevor Ariza, who's a drink of water. And, they weren't ready for that.
No,
it felt like they didn't understand what was. They got there and their testosterone got the better of them. Yeah. Oh yeah, now we're here. Now we can't back down.
Well, and Blake gave D'Antoni a little nudge on the
jostled him
there.
a little bit, which is what, frankly, I think pissed off D'Antoni to begin with, and then defend your coach on the court. After the game, say something, but immediately after on the court. But
I remember it was a couple games before this. I think it was in Toronto. Houston was in, and I think it was DeRosa or somebody else tried to. He was giving Paul some words about something cheesy he did, and then he tried to slap the ball out of his hand with 2 seconds left. And I have a feeling it was about Paul going up and getting a cheap layup. And he's like, dude, we gave you that layup. You didn't have to take it. Like, just, just dribble the ball around and eat out the clock.
Right. And
Paul looked like he was deer in headlights. And then that's when DeRosa tried to slap the ball out of his hands, or Landry. And it was just, so I don't know. Maybe this is a Chris Paul issue. I mean, maybe he's the one that's getting this stuff going. I don't know. But again, as a player rep, like you got to be more mature than that.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, he's also been critical of the refs. He's been very outspoken about some things that you just wouldn't expect from a guy that has that title of union player rep. I don't know. It's sort of one of those things where maybe the Clippers are better off without him. They aren't so far yet, but. Is he going to torpedo the Rockets' chances? I don't know. We'll see. He's healthy. They've had some problems, but things are going to heat up in the West. Things will heat up in the West.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move along to. Does anybody want to chip in with anything on the Lakers? They're just kind of rolling along.
Well, it was a nice little stretch they had, and that was good. And like we've discussed, I mean, when it's good, it's good. If they play their defense, and they're always going to be aggressive offensively, and it's just putting it all together. But again, it's just like what Vince has talked about over and over. It's consistency. Yeah, consistency, you just need to be consistent about it. And then the other thing that I want to point out is. Are these young kids are starting to break down a little bit, and just like we said, they play very hard. They play very hard, right? And so you just gonna have to be able to manage that, and they don't have the depth on the bench to manage that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're right. The depth at the point guard in particular is a problem when you've got. I mean, Ennis is getting significant time, and Josh Hart is getting a little bit better, but he really hasn't proven to be a true point guard. But Lonzo, excuse me.
You're getting emotional, are you, Vince? By the way, I haven't seen, but how are the kids doing in Lithuania? They've played a couple games, have they?
Yeah, the first game, the first game they played was kind of like an exhibition game. In the second game, neither one of them scored. And I haven't seen
really?
No, one was 0 for 5 and one was 0 for 3. I haven't seen anything since then. But these kids are playing. You got to figure too. They're used to a 40-game college schedule at most.
Right.
30, 40
right.
games.
No,
now you're getting,
Well, that's what Vince pointed that out about a week ago. Is like they've now played what they've played in a whole season in college basketball, and they haven't got the All-Star break.
Right.
So.
Yeah, what I was going to say about Lonzo is, despite what everybody may say about him and whether his game has progressed or not, the Lakers are still 0-7 without him in the lineup.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are clearly issues about his stamina, his hardiness. Walton, oftentimes when he does play him in the fourth quarter, will have somebody else bring the ball up because they're trying to spare him either getting wasting too much energy if there's a press, or potentially getting fouled on an initial drive because he's just a dreadful free throw shooter. Right. But to me, that's the biggest problem with the Lakers in the fourth quarter, and sometimes in the second half, is Ingram, Randall. There's a lot of guys who are tasked with bringing the ball up, and I know that that's something that they've done often, and Kerr does often with the Warriors. Is you have a point forward, or you have Draymond Green or somebody else, or Klay Thompson bringing the ball up at some point, just to give. Just to give Curry a blow. And Lonzo, now another, the knee, the swelling in the knee. Brandon Ingram out. Well, should play tomorrow night, but a lot of things. A lot of youngsters should be a little hardier than this. And so that seems to me like that's a problem.
But again, they're 19, right? 20, 19.
They don't know how to take care of their bodies. Yeah. They just don't know how to take care of their bodies.
I like the way they did come back in Dallas the game before. Blew a 7-point lead in the last minute of regulation. Then we're almost in the identical situation in overtime, and they
had a 17-point lead in the first half, and then just tanked. Again, it's because of that youth. It's because Walton really shakes the lineup up, and you really don't know. There was a time when I used to watch Laker games and knew exactly who the coach was going to put in. Oh, okay, he's going to take out so and so Kobe with 2 minutes left in the first, a minute and a half left in the first half, so he can get that break, any timeouts that happen, and then all of halftime. And you just knew what. I can't tell what's going to happen with Walton. I don't know who he's going to put in, what's going to happen, who's going to play where, whether he's going to go small, whether he's going to go big. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm sure there's a method there. I mean, obviously, Luke showed that he was a good coach in handling personnel with the Warriors in the interim when Kerr was out with his back injury. It's hard to tell, and everybody needs to be patient, not just with the players, but the coach, and we'll see where it goes from there.
It's just a turnover situation. That's the whole deal. It's like, I know they beat the Kings the other night with something crazy turnover, 30 turnovers or something like that. And that's the whole deal. The way that they play, if they can control their turnovers and be very consistent with small amount of turnovers, they're going to be in every game. They're going to be competitive in every game.
Yeah, that's the trouble with youth and inexperience.
Right. And the way the offense is run, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the other thing is that one of the things we talked about with Lonzo was that teams were sagging off of him because he wasn't able to connect on those 3-pointers. And now he's connecting on them, but a lot of that is because he's getting sagged off of, and Walton has given him the green light to pull up and take those threes now. So his percentage is going up. But the deeper into the season that goes, and, from my lips to God's ears, if they were to make the playoffs, which doesn't seem likely, it's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher, and those are going to be contested threes, and I don't like where that percentage is going with his jump shot, whether it be from inside the 3-point line or outside the 3-point line, where that percentage is going to go from there. And one of the things that experts sort of say is anybody who's got a good high percentage from the free throw line is typically a good shooter. So that's where you look to see as a telltale sign of where somebody is going to be, whether they're going to develop into a good jump shooter or a good 3-point shooter. And we haven't seen enough of Lonzo Ball to know he wasn't a good not a good free throw shooter in college, and he's certainly not a very good free throw shooter in the pros. He needs to build the body up, drive more, take those open shots, and work on making that shot a little more compact. It's just still too long. And the fact that, you try shooting a jump shot, right? The last thing you'd want is to put your forearm in front of your eyes before you shoot. Yeah. And take your eye off the rim.
Off the target.
It just doesn't make any sense.
The only one I've seen do that, but now that you think about it, his hands was Jamal Wilkes, right? Jamal Wilkes.
But it was
over his head, right? So his eyes were always on there.
Yeah. Right. But they said the same thing about Fernando, looking to the sky. It's like, keep your eyes on your target. But, maybe Lonzo can take a lesson from Fernando. I don't know.
Let's move along to USC. DeAnthony, is that his name?
DeAnthony Melton, yeah. The NCAA has not ruled on it, but as far as USC is concerned, they want to keep their nose in the program clean, and so they've just decided that they will self-punish.
Bite the bullet,
and Melton will be out. Melton was their best defender. He's clearly their best defender, and he's one of their better players, and losing him has been a significant issue. And it's part of the reason that the Trojans were in the preseason top 10 and haven't quite lived up to those expectations because Melton hasn't played a minute. And who knows if they're going to get him back. Melton is practicing every day. He sits on the bench. He's a good guy. He's a good kid. I don't expect him to quit the team and leave, but I think that he's going to have to consider whether he's coming out.
Do you think the NCAA will further implicate him when their investigation is concluded?
I think my feeling, and I have no proof or any evidence to say that this is true. This is just my opinion. I think the NCAA is dragging their feet as long as they can. Let that kid make a decision on whether he's going to. He's not going to transfer. Nobody will take him.
Right.
Because the NCAA still has not made a decision, and don't say that they're going to. I think they're going to wait, and that kid is good enough to where he might declare for the draft, and then they don't have to decide. They don't have to make a decision. Unfortunately, I think that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like to me. Right. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's true. But the NC2A has no love for USC.
No, they never have
at all.
Yeah.
So,
well, if he were to come back next year, then they would, indicate that he was going to come back next year. Then they'd have to make some sort of a decision.
Well, they wouldn't. They wouldn't have to rule. USC would just have to say, we've done the due diligence. We don't think. Right now, USC is saying, we've done the due diligence, but we're waiting for the NC2A.
Right.
It doesn't look like the NC2A is going to decide this year, so we're going to say that he is not eligible, declare him ineligible for the season. That's all USC is saying.
Right.
But if the NCAA does not rule, then USC has to make a decision on whether they are going to risk making him eligible while there's still no ruling from the NC2A. And I don't foresee USC declaring him eligible while there's still an outstanding ruling from the NC2A.
So the way they drag their feet, he could be out all next year as well.
He could, unless he declares for the draft, and then it's moot, right? Nobody, one way or the other. He will not transfer. That's not going to happen unless for some reason, look, if there was any indication that the NC2A would rule in his favor, USC would have already declared him eligible.
Right.
I think that right now they're saying, we don't know what the NC2A is going to do. We don't think they have any grounds to rule him ineligible, but as of right now, they're implicating a family friend, and if that gets any closer, where there's smoke, there's fire. If it gets any closer, the NC2A doesn't need really direct evidence. They could declare him ineligible just because the guy that they're claiming has had some impropriety is a neighbor and a family friend. So... unfortunately, he's a good player, and the USC really couldn't afford to lose him this year. But we'll see. We'll see if the NC2A is given any indication that they may rule on it, we might see him next year in a USC uniform. If there's no ruling forthcoming, he's not going. I doubt he's going to transfer, because who would take him? He'd have to sit out a year anyway.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
So it's more likely that he declares for the draft.
That's what I think is going to happen.
But is he good enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he'll go play in Europe.
Changing the sports just a minute. What do you think of the football hiring at Arizona? Another good coach for the Pac-12.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like the Herm Edwards issue, but Tomlin, terrific coach, and with Khalil Tate, it's a great fit.
Plus, he's a recruiter.
I'm not sorry, not Tomlin.
Yeah,
I'm not Sumlin. Sumlin.
From Texas A&M.
I'm sorry,
right?
Sumlin.
Yeah.
I got the Lin right. Just the Sumlin.
Plus,
Kevin Sumlin.
He's got a reputation of being a pretty good recruiter too. Which
Absolutely.
Rodriguez could not do. He couldn't recruit.
No. And plus,
who almost went there is the coach from Navy. Almost went there.
Well, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, and he came back and said, "Nope, I'm here to coach Navy." So, the college was, or the academy was, just absolutely through the roof because he's so well loved there. And I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I'm not going to go there.
That's one of those under the radar hires that could have been a lot scarier for Pac-12 teams than it looks, because of the running game and the option that he runs. Khalil Tate and an option, dear God.
Yeah, in that Navy offense.
Yeah.
I'd be more worried.
But Texas A&M did that against UCLA. I think it was this. They played them this year, right, in the first game, right?
Yeah,
and they brought in a more of a running quarterback, so he knows how to deal with it. He's an offensive. No, is he an offensive minded guy, Kevin? Is he? I forget if he's an offense or defensive minded guy, but he does know how to run with a quarterback. I saw it because I think what they did is they ran against UCLA because you can. Right. And they were killing them in the first half, and they decided to throw the ball in the second half, and it killed them. Yep. So,
let's talk about hockey.
Well, before we move off of college football, what this means for USC or not is Ronnie Lott was appointed to the committee for the college football playoffs.
Oh, really? Nice.
USC finally has a voice in there, yeah.
Nice.
Well, Hayden was there for a long time, but he's been gone for a while, too. Yeah. That's great.
So Ronnie Lott has been appointed. So that's good news for the Pac-12.
Who left?
I think he's just a new appointee. I don't know if they've released anybody, or somebody else has gone. I don't know.
That's great. That's good news. I hadn't heard that. That's good news.
Maybe it was Condoleezza Rice. I don't know.
Augusta.
The Kings win 8 in a row, and then they've gone 4-7-2 since then. But like I said earlier, everybody's up and down. I mean, you're not going to go through 81, 82 games without having your hiccups.
Yeah.
And I think they're just going through a little rough spot. I don't think there's any major problems there to deal with.
No, but they also sent, there's some, McDermott was sent down.
Yeah.
That shocks me a little bit. Not that he didn't deserve to be sent down, but that it's kind of come to that. Not that he was getting a lot of minutes, but that's still, right now you continue to go, just God, if the Kings could have just kept McNabb, and instead of giving him up to Vegas in the expansion draft. Boy, and I guess every team has a story like that. But
right,
right now they're having some problems, but they're going to be okay. We'll see. This stretch is tough. Vegas has been ridiculous at home, just ridiculously good at home.
What have they lost? 1 or 2 games?
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You can't get a ticket.
silly.
You can't get a ticket in Vegas.
Oh,
It's gone.
the city is just absolutely engulfed this
Yeah.
team.
Not much new on the Ducks. They're just plugging along.
You know, I looked at it a little bit today, and it's crazy how good the Central is more than the Pacific.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Ducks are 4 points behind the Kings, right?
Yeah.
And the Ducks would be in last place in the Central with 49 points. The Chicago's at 50.
Well, the last place team has a winning record.
Yeah, exactly.
Has a winning record.
In the Central, right?
Yeah, either Colorado or Chicago, whichever's last.
And you know, they lose to Colorado, and these are games you need to win. You know, and now they're going to go into a stretch where they go Kings, Sharks, Rangers, and Jets, and you know it's not going to be easy at all.
No.
You know,
No.
So. But, you know, you got to win these games against the Kings and the Sharks and the Jets. You know, what you do against the Rangers, you know, but you got to be able to pick at those points, you know. And, you know, it's great. When I looked at it, I'm like, wow.
And this is as healthy as they're going to get.
Yeah.
Because Eves isn't coming back this year.
No, he's not.
He may
I don't know
come
if you
back
ever
next
see him
year.
ever
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
So right now they've got everybody on board.
And Kessler's starting to get better and better. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So they better pick it up if they're going to. If they want to get in those playoffs, they better pick it up. Great to see Bob Miller's statue unveiled outside of the Staples Center. This guy is absolutely phenomenal. He's deserving. He brought hockey to Southern California. He explained it. He educated the LA fans, and he's just been a monster. He's been terrific. It couldn't go to a more deserving and guy, and then to have his banner raised inside as well was just it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
For a great guy.
Yeah.
And he endured some really bad hockey in those early years at the Forum in LA. It was very bad, and he was always cheerful, upbeat, and just loved the Kings. And that was at a time when there were barely any games on television, and the radio station. I know as a Southern California, kid in South Orange County, you could barely get reception on that. I remember sticking my antenna out the window just trying to get the Miracle on Manchester game.
Right.
But to hear that game, even with the static and Miller's, friendly and familiar voice, and he's terrific. And we just were so spoiled to have Chick Hearn and Bob Miller and Vince Scully and Dick Enberg as the voices of the local teams. And then if you step it back from there, Tom Kelly with USC, there was just so many great voices in the LA market. And I like that Miller's still involved in the program, but I'm a big fan of Alex Faust. He's a young voice. He's got a great timbre to his voice. He's a smart kid, and I think he's great with Foxy in the booth. So it's I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's got some tough shoes to.
Can you expand for our younger viewers what an antenna is? Because I don't think they understand what that is.
So there you got a radio. And there's this thing that you pull out. You see, yeah.
But I think, again, I've been an Orange County guy, right? So I've always been an Angel fan, but you got, Vince and yourself and even my father was a Kings fan, or is a Kings fan. But how lucky we were in California to have Vince Scully, Chick Hearn, and Bob Miller, giving us our sports on a daily basis. Very lucky. I'm not educated enough to know that's what it was like in Texas or Philadelphia or whatever.
Well,
Detroit had some great commentators, but we were very, very lucky to have these unique, educated, commentators giving us this, the being able to describe this stuff over radios with antennas out the door, and stuff like that. So, I had a little, I was young, but Dick Enberg and these guys for the Angels, but these guys are starting to pass away, and I don't know, there's not a lot of these other kind of guys around, you know what I mean? So, hopefully some of the younger guys like you're talking about are learning how to do this.
I've been, and again, maybe some of it is just me, wishful thinking, or maybe I'm just suggestible, homer. But like I said, I think Alex Faust is going to be terrific. I think Joe Davis is one of the best baseball young broadcasters around. He does a lot of national TV. He does the Pac-12 football. He's terrific. He's terrific. So I think we're lucky to see the next generation coming through as well. So I'm not as big a fan of the Lakers.
McDonald and
not as big a fan.
Enough said about that.
Yeah, exactly. And while we're talking about announcers, there's the passing of Keith Jackson right on the heels of Enberg.
Yeah, he was another great one.
Just a guy who was a giant in the industry, but just didn't come across like that.
No.
He was just so down to earth and homespun. Washington State grad, Eastern Washington.
He was like
guy.
Scully in a lot of ways. I mean, Scully doesn't want all the hoopla and could care less about the notoriety. He's just, he's just Vin Scully. And Keith is very much the same way.
Right. But I think that, for me, the difference was always, Vin sort of elevated the game by being so erudite, by being so smart and so well spoken and so well read. And Keith Jackson was, he was the one. He is a big one.
Yeah. Sophomore.
Sophomore. He was great. He was great, but more homespun and down to earth, but still super sharp and just an absolute.
Yeah, and they call him the voice of college football. He's called some phenomenal games. Jeez, he's even called a Rose Bowl. I mean, as in the parade. So there's like Dick Enberg. He did it all.
Exactly.
I don't know if he did baseball though. He didn't do baseball, right? Just football only. And then Olympics. He did a lot of Olympics.
A lot of Olympics. He did the Monday night.
Yeah, early Monday night.
That's right. He was the first one.
Yeah,
on the first team.
But just a fixture in the Pac-12, then the Pac-10 and the Pac-8 before that, and the Big Ten. Always just a fixture, and then till the very end when he was only doing the West Coast games.
Right.
And but even then, a lot of big games, especially during those great years when USC was in the hunt for national championships in 04, 05, in the year before in 03.
Yeah, he was
voice of the Rose Bowl.
He'll be missed.
Yeah.
Let's skip over to what used to be the Bob Hope Desert Classic. Coming up this week.
The career builders.
Yeah. They've really changed the whole idea out there considerably. It's gone from 90 to 72 holes.
Yeah.
5 days to 4.
They
never had they went 2 years without a big name sponsor. I had trouble getting on.
Clinton had to come
TV.
on board. Yeah.
Now this year, looks like Mickelson's
put his name in the hat as kind of his tournament.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago.
But everybody else, Abu Dhabi's paying the
Dustin Johnson, the Roses
fees for all the big names.
Yeah, McElroy to go over there. Yeah,
they're not going to have much.
But you know what? It's never really been a big name winner here all the time because it's an absolute shootout, right? It's resort golf, right? It's in between the homes and it's a little bit of desert golf. So it's really a kind of a great place for where one of the young guys comes up and wins and gets a victory. So, but it is an absolute shootout. Like your putter needs to be hot and your game inside 150 yards has to be phenomenal. You can drive the ball a majority of the time anywhere out there and be okay because the rough's not up. So it turns into a putting contest, and there's been 2 or 3 players that have shot 59 out there in their career. So, and one of them was last year, a Canadian kid won. So, but it was a great story, right? It changed his whole life. He won there, and then he had a top 10 somewhere else. And in 1 year, he got married. He bought a home. All these possible great things came true for that young, starving golf pro that got hot 1 week. Right. And this is what you can do. You can get hot here. So it's usually the guys that live in Arizona or in Southern California that usually are the guys that play very well here. So, we'll see how it goes. But it's kind of the start of the tour. I mean, last week they were in Hawaii.
Right. But
when you think about it, that's airing almost like at 9 o'clock at night on the East Coast. So
Yeah.
Now they're
that's
here, and this is when it goes. So it's a nice stretch. It's actually, if you can find time, it goes here. Then it goes Torrey Pines next week. And then it goes Phoenix out and that's always I'm going to be out there working. So that's great. They turned the 16th hole into a stadium. Literally, it's surrounded,
Wow.
right? And then there's 600-something thousand people that go to that tournament in Arizona, the Waste Management Open, and 550,000 of them are on 3 holes. The rest of the golf course, you can go walk and see whoever you want to see. It's crazy. They say it's like, yeah, there's the biggest party in the desert, and there happens to be a golf tournament going on too. That's more or less what they call. And then from there they go to Pebble Beach,
yeah.
and then from there they always finish the West Coast at L.A. And then Tiger's going to be playing at Torrey Pines and in L.A. So expect big fields out there. At least on Thursday and Friday. You never know if he's going to make a cut, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
If he makes a cut, it's going to get nuts. So that's great. And then a little hot stove issue with the Giants, huh? They signed McCutchen.
Yeah.
And so I was just up in Northern California the last couple of days. And so I put it on talk radio, their sports radio. And it's absolutely hilarious how these guys are all talking right up there. So they're all very happy with what they did with Longoria at third, and McCutchen now is going to play right. And they're going to take Pence over to left, right?
Yeah.
And so what everybody's saying is in San Francisco is, you know what? I'm in, but keep spending the money. But then there's some guys going, no, they don't want to go over that cap, right? But then they're coming back and they're saying, well, stop going after 33, 4-year-old guys, right? And these guys that are, they're good players, but how long do we have them, right? Are they going to break down?
Right.
So if you're going to go out and get these 30-something year-old guys, keep going. Go get the McCain that plays center field in Kansas City, and go spending more money. Because if you don't, you're now just depleting your whole minor league system. We know that, and the Angels know that, right? And he goes, and they got a pretty good infield. They got a solid outfield. The center fielder's a little shaky, right? But they do have a good kind of 1-2 punch, 1-2-3 punch there. But that's what they were all talking about up there. Like, just keep spending money. Yeah. And then there's some guys going, no, they won't, because they don't want to go over that cap. They don't want to have to pay anybody else. Right. So,
but if they decide to, like you said, Kane or Yelich would fit right in.
Yeah.
And that may be part of the reason why they've decided to switch, McCutchen to right and Pence to left and leave their center field open. We'll see.
Yeah.
And the other thing that talking about hot stove is the rumor is that the Red Sox have offered JD Martinez 5 years, $100 million.
Jeez. Wow.
Of course, he wants 7.
Oh.
Nobody's going to get 7.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think that could end up 5 years.
5 years.
$125 million or something like that.
Yeah, that's only $20 million a year. I mean,
only.
How do you expect
It's a bargain.
How do you guys expect a guy to survive on $20 million?
Guy ever been an MVP? Or I mean, he's got good stuff, but
he's been
pretty consistent.
He's been hitting the ball hard. I mean, he was terrific for Arizona down the stretch, and fits in well in the American League as a DH and left field. It's a lot.
I would still like to see the Angels go after Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, he's still out there.
You've got Pujols, but let's be realistic. How many games is he going to play?
Well, no, they just signed C.J. Cron.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a waste of $3.2 million.
I'm like, what?
I
almost took a picture of it
and
sent it to you. I'm like, hey, your buddy's back.
I don't want to see that guy anymore. But I would, Hosmer's 29. He's got power. He can be your first baseman for the next 6-7 years.
No doubt.
Okay, say you say Pujols is going to be my guy, but
Pujols is your guy for the next 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Isn't his contract like?
Isn't it 5 more years?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, come on.
But
I think it's
even if he plays 30 or games or whatever, he could be their full-time DH. Give Hosmer a couple of days off, play first base, still make room for Ohtani when he wants to DH. I don't think that would be a crowded situation at all. I'd give him another bat and a young guy that's going to be around.
So what do you do with Cron? You just signed him.
Get rid of him.
Really? Enjoy Utah. right?
Yeah, he'll be Salt Lake City's most highest paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've never. I've made myself clear on my.
No, I'm with you. I'm not a big fan either.
I'm not excited about.
But that's telling me when they signed him for $3.2 million, they told me that they're out of the Hosmer,
I hope
battle.
not.
So unless they got something brewing in a trade situation going on, but
if Pujols only plays 30 to 40 games at first, I don't want to see Luis Valbuena
yeah,
and the C.J. Cron platoon.
yeah,
We got that act last year, and it failed miserably.
yeah. One was below the Mendoza line, and one was very streaky.
199. That's
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. Elton Baylor gets a statue. I think
Good.
it's long overdue.
Well done.
Good player, a great forward in his era. Nice guy.
Good in the community. Yep.
Great in the community. Just unfortunate that he was injured and retired the year the Lakers won the World Championship, so he never got a ring. But he's
What he was able to accomplish while he was in, the Army Reserve, and having to travel back and forth. I mean, the stories of that, you just don't quite understand.
No.
What he was sacrificing with the family at home, with the NBA, with you playing full time in the NBA, and then also being an Army reservist, and so ridiculous. And he was terrific at Seattle University, and the only time that school has ever been on the map. Playing in the tournament against the big boys like Kentucky. So. Well deserved. He's been great, and also for the time that he spent in that building as a general manager for the Clippers
22
as
years.
well.
22 years. I think we'll get into this five worst sports cities in America.
Yeah.
There's Paul Newberry from the AP. San Diego's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about that. It's a minor league town. Hey, they got a baseball team, and that's it.
No championships. He's not counting the 63 AFC Charger championship. So zero championships. And I don't see any signs of them ever getting a championship.
It's hard to do when you've got one major sports team.
Yeah. San Diego.
Basketball has never really worked there. They won't they won't expand hockey.
Right.
I don't think.
The
It
Ducks
doesn't make
love it.
sense.
The Ducks love it that their team's down there.
No.
Yeah.
They actually do pretty good, I think, down
They
there.
draw well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
minor league. It's a minor league town.
Yeah.
It's a minor league town.
The only
And what's sad about it, right? It's a minor league town that could host World Series, or not World Series, but All-Star games and Super Bowls and all that kind of stuff. And it should be, a town that has three major sports. It should be, but it is. It was, it still is kind of somewhat of a military town, and
Exactly.
and financially, it's just hard to probably, bring three major teams and get the tickets. What you're charging for football and basketball and hockey, all together. It's just probably hard to get that.
You can't even get a stadium for your football team. I mean,
Right, and you struggle a majority of the time. You got to take your hats off to them. A majority of those open tickets that go to the fans are usually military people, for the Padre games to fill up the rest of the, they do a lot of military stuff down there. They play in camo and,
exactly.
They have a lot of military days. So, good for you, the Padres organization. But, it's a resort designated kind of area, and a lot of people love to visit. I just wish there could be more there. And, it's just,
we've talked about it in the past, and to me, it's just stunning. And look, San Diego County and San Diego City residents trying to be fiscally responsible, and yes, owners should probably pay for their own stadiums, but that's not the world we live in.
Yeah.
That's not a reality. I mean, you can dream
Not gonna
that, you
happen.
can think that, it's just not going to happen.
No.
There has to be some civic and community support for a stadium. And the fact that the NFL flat out said, look, we are not going to put a Super Bowl in that crap hole
That's right.
Yeah.
Saying, you know,
Oh, yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
not. We're just not. We love the city. We love that you have a lot of hotels. We love the weather in January and February, but we're not going to put another Super Bowl. Get a stadium, and then you can have a Super Bowl every, fourth, fifth, whatever. Year.
You know, the other thing that I think could work there is an MLS team.
They're still working on that.
Yeah.
They're trying on that. Yeah.
But the problem there is now San Diego State thinks, they're puffing out their chests and saying, we're not going to share a stadium with soccer, or we want our own stadium. So now the city's looking and going, wait a minute, we're going to build a new stadium for San Diego State? Mountain West? Come on. And we're going to spend money on on MLS? That's not going to happen in San Diego.
No.
Because if you could have done that, then you could have done a stadium for football.
There are two proposals now that are both going to be on the ballot in November, two different ideas on how to fund a stadium. And, they need to get, I think, it's a good chance that both of them might get 50%. So what
the problem with the voting situation down in San Diego when it all went down was they offered it to the city of San Diego residents. They didn't offer it to all the community, like the county of San Diego at all. And that's what killed them, because the city, those are not their football fans. Their football fans are the county people, the people that live up in Carlsbad all the way over to, Marietta and Temecula.
Right.
That's their football, all the way up at Escondido. Right. Those people didn't get to vote.
No.
Right?
No.
And so, a lot of stuff was going to be taxed on the people that are coming in to visit San Diego, and there's going to be a whole nother tax there. But there's a lot of gray. What I heard from the tourism head of tourism is a friend of my wife's. He's like, there was so much gray area. They just said a football team. They never said the Chargers. Right. So Spanos didn't do the best job to try to make this happen. He kind of just threw it out.
No, there's
there.
a lot of people to blame.
It goes around. It goes
around. But let's be honest. A ballot initiative for a football stadium in San Diego, it's like submarine races and snipe hunting, right? It's not a reality. It's like pull my finger. No, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So. And then if you put two different things and everybody gets confused and says, I don't know which one to vote for, so
I won't vote.
I'm not going to vote for either of them. Or I'm going to vote for both of them, and then who knows what that. It's
a mess.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Anyway, they got the distinguished honor. The other contenders in the bottom five, Buffalo, which also has 0 championships. Atlanta, just 1 World Series championship. Phoenix, 1 World Series championship. And although Cleveland has 8 championships, the Indians haven't won since '48. The 4 NFL championships at the 1950-1960 team never got to a Super Bowl. Cavs have 1 title. That's basically it.
Yeah.
So nothing much there. So that was just a guy. So I probably had a day off and figured out what should I write about, and
darts in a dartboard.
see what we come up with. All right, I think that's it. Anybody got anything else to?
I'll see you guys in a month.
Yeah, you're off.
I'm off for the next 3 weeks.
Quote unquote.
Well, I'm working.
Unquote working.
Yeah, I'm on the road.
Yeah.
Hopefully Corey can fit in.
Yeah, we'll see if we can make that happen. All right, I guess that will do it for today. Again, be on the show. We are out.
Good night.
Peace.